Hey everyone, welcome to the Super Review Show. And this is not a mixed bag tonight. This is something a little bit different. I'm joined by one of my dear friends who has been a big help to me on the channel for a number of years now. Asm of Earth, as you know in the chat board, his real name is Andrew Schultz. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing good, but I'm doing good. Thank you so much, by the way, for being a part of this discussion. Because full disclosure, everyone, I have no idea. I know what video games are. Let's just say that, but I don't really follow them that closely. And some big stuff happened at this. Forgive me. It's the video game convention that happened.
It's called not a convention. It's like sort of like the Oscars of video games, essentially.
Okay. All right. So the Gamer Awards came out, and my buddy right here, my dear friend, is going to help us out by just talking about what's going on with that and with the awards and what happened. And we're going to share our screen right now. So hopefully you sit back, relax, and enjoy this. If you're listening to us, just hear what my good friend Andrew has to say, and we'll go from there. So here we go.
Yeah. So we're gonna start off because what the Game Awards has become is a bit like a mini or like a winter version of E3. If you remember back during the summer when we did our E3 discussion, that's the time when they reveal all these new video games and everything like that. So the first half of the stream, we're going to be talking about what got revealed and what was shown at the Game Awards last night. So let me just get myself ready over here real quick on my computer, because there's quite a bit of stuff that happened. It's actually pretty big too. I would say, let me start with, there are four main things to me of what happened. But actually, before I start at all, I just want to mention if anyone has any questions in chat, or like they want to say something like what they were most excited by last night, or what they thought should have won last night. Feel free to say that in the chat board. We'll get to that when we can. So let's start. I'm gonna start with mainly it was it's when, as you can see on the screen, it's the most anticipated game. But last night a trailer for a story trailer for the game called Elden Ring came out. This is a all CG trailer. It's it basically, what I think it is sort of like the intro cutscene to the game. As I know what from software they like to do with their games, they always have a fancy CG cinematic right before you start the game, before you get to the character creation aspect of the games. So I know, well, I figured that's probably what's going to be like with the start. It's going to have the narration and everything over that. I'm going to get to the biggest surprise last, because it's definitely something I want to talk about last, because it's really good. Let me get to a point where, oh, actually, JT, you actually might like this. So there are two. Well, this is a game studio called Telltale Games. They make these mainly story-driven, narrative-driven story games. It's not focused on the action; it's more focused on the story. The most popular ones on the Walking Dead franchise. They came out with two new games, or two new story games, because one of them is based off The Expanse. I'm not sure if you've seen that one or anything like, or I've seen that show or anything like that. It's a sci-fi show on like the Sci-Fi Channel. But the second game, you might like this one, is they're making a Star Trek game. It's going to be.
Really?
I can't remember the exact name of it. Let me look it up real quick on my end. But
sure, of course.
Telltale Star Trek. Yeah, it's called Star Trek Resurgence.
Yeah, because I'm a big Trek fan. So.
Yeah, so this is
Resurgence. Okay.
This is a game from the Telltale studio. They were a studio that sort of went bankrupt, but got bought out, and now they're back again making new games. And this is going to be one set in the Star Trek universe. And I know we haven't gotten that many Star Trek games in the past. So this might actually be an interesting look for fans of the franchise to get into. So I just want to mention that, because I know you're a big Trekkie, to say the least.
I would not say I'm a Trekkie. There are people who are diehard Star Trek fans, and I'm nowhere near that. I'm just a fan of the movies and the TV show and whatnot. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
story. So yeah.
There's a guy in the trailer for Star Trek Resurgence. The Spock is going to be. It looks like he's going to be a character in the game itself in the story, but like the guy does a really good impression of
Awesome.
Leonard Nimoy. It's very spot on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I just figured you might want to be interested in that. Anyway, so so Telltale came back with 2 new games shown off last night. And let me see what else, because I'm just going from some of the minor ones real quick that stood out to me. There's this one. It's sort of like a what if you make the video game Doom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you put it first. Doom is a first-person shooter, right? What if you make Doom put in a third-person shooter, and then what if you put in the Wild West?
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's called Evil West, and like I've never heard of this game before. I think it was shown off once, probably like a cinematic trailer with initial. But this is like our first look at gameplay, and it looks kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. So that was a surprise for me. A game that I really was interested in. This is one of those narrative-driven ones. Is called Somerville. It's
Okay.
It's made by these developers. I believe it's made by the developers. They made this game called Inside, as well. I can't remember the other. I think it was Limbo or something like that. It's like a 2D side scroller in a way. But these guys are known for making very interesting games, to say the least. They know how to do a story that with very little to no dialogue, essentially. So that's always something I'm looking forward to from them. And then let's see, another one of those minor games that already got revealed. We're going to be getting a strategy game based in the Dune franchise, the Dune universe.
Okay.
That's going to be something I'm interested. I'm a big fan of the Dune movies. That came out recently. Looking forward to the next one of that. And so now we're going to be getting a strategy game. It's going to be real time, I believe. So sort of like Age of Empires, which we'll talk about later. Let's see. I'm going to go actually right into some of the big ones that stood out to me. Because I was watching this with my friends, some of my online friends. We were going crazy over stuff like that. There was one of my favorite games of all time that's currently running. It's an ongoing game, Destiny 2. They had a new trailer come out for the next expansion coming out in February called The Witch Queen.
Okay.
If you want to look it up in a new tab, feel free to. This was a mix of like live action and CG. And
what is it called again?
Destiny 2 Witch Queen. It's for those who are unaware, Destiny 2 is made by the developers of Halo. It's made by Bungie. These guys, they're known for absolutely great trailers, and I think this is one of their best to date. It combined like a mix of like live action and gameplay and storytelling. And mostly just summing up what happens in the first mission of the game. So it's going to be, I was very excited. I was going crazy about it, to say the least. Definitely looking forward to that expansion when it comes out in February. It's going to be some really cool stuff going on in that. We're going to get a bunch of new weapons, a ton of abilities, rework, and whatnot. It's going to be really fun. And the trailer was really good. The next game I want to talk about that got revealed that was big to one of my online friends is called Alan Wake 2.
Okay.
So it's a sequel to it. I believe it came out mid-2010s or something like that, called Alan Wake. I believe it's made by Remedy. I want to say that it's made by Remedy. Alan Wake was a action horror game, sort of. It follows this character who is an author who goes to this town, and this town's almost like haunted, essentially.
Yeah.
And the actions that are happening in the town are like happening the way he described in a book. So like he's basically like sort of like orchestrating the events of the town because like his work has come to life and he's like a horror author. So it's sort of an interesting take. And this is going to be a sequel to that. I have never played the first Alan Wake personally, but I know a bunch of people who have, and they've absolutely like loved it. It's like it's one of their favorite games. I have played another one of these developers' games called Control. It's set in the same universe, but like it's not the same storytelling per se. That was still a very interesting game to say the least. So I'm definitely happy that Alan Wake fans are getting finally it's confirmed they're getting a sequel to one of their favorite games. Because I know there was a lot of stuff in that game that made a lot of people happy. So
cool.
And then there was another franchise that made people happy was the WarHammer franchise. WarHammer is like a very gritty sci-fi like universe, like super far in the future, super dark, super bleak, and everything like that. Warhammer 40K exactly. There is a it's based off of a tabletop game, so it's a tabletop one of those tabletop RPG games. But it's an old game that came out, not old, but like a couple years old. Came out called Warhammer 40K Space Marine, and now last night they revealed that they're making a Space Marine 2, and so I know a lot of people are happy. I know Henry Cavill is happy because Henry Cavill's huge in Warhammer, like he's a big fan of the game. I'm not sure if you saw recently. He was actually on like a night show when he was talking about this exact game. But
I did not hear about that. That's cool.
Yeah, no, he's a big nerd, and I love him for that.
Yeah, that's great.
That was it's a very bleak the Warhammer universe is a very bleak and dark universe. And like I said, it's based off of a tabletop RPG and everything like that.
Nice.
Now for my biggest reveal, I think, I have to talk about it. I'm really excited for this. It's called Star Wars Eclipse. We're finally getting a new Star Wars game. It just got early development, so we won't be getting it for a while. But this I am super looking forward to. It's going to be set in the High Republic era, so that's 200 years before the events of Episode 1 of Phantom Menace. So it's a prequel, essentially. But the imagery of this trailer is so interesting. It's so cool. It reminded me a lot of Dune. The way how like these drummers were like doing like a ritual and everything like that. It was very interesting for me to look at. I might get into the High Republic era just from this game. It looks very interesting.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, when we first found out about this here at the Super Review Show, he was flipping out. I got so many text messages from him.
Yeah, it was crazy because when I watched this live, right, and the trailer starts and you have no indication of what this is. It starts with like an eclipse happening. It starts with like these drummers. You don't see the face and anything. Just banging on this drum.
Yeah,
and it's like, what is this? And it's like, is this Dune? I literally thought, is this Dune? And then they see the Lucasfilm logo. I'm just like flipping out at that point because I have no idea what this, but I'm thoroughly invested in it. It looks really good, even though it's all a CG trailer. And that we don't have any gameplay, and it's very far off from being released. I'm very looking forward to this project. It's made by Quantic Dreams. These guys did some story games recently. It's like single player narrative games. The most recent game was called Detroit Become Human. It's like set in the near future where like you play as like these android detectives, pretty much. Or not android. One of the characters is an android detective. You play as multiple characters throughout the game, and it's one of those like your choices matter. It's like your choice can have different outcomes for another character or another action. It's one of those games you have to think about like what choice you make before you do it. But this game, from what I hear, Star Wars Eclipse, is going to be set in an open world. And I think it's going to have multiple. You're going to be playing as multiple characters. I don't think you're going to be playing as like create a character. I think you might be playing as a named one.
Okay.
If you are playing as like a create your own character, I'm thoroughly down for that. I love character creations, and I love character creations in the Star Wars games. So having those two is always a match for me. I wouldn't mind if I'm playing as a named character, like a set character. I'll be perfectly fine with that. But like when it comes to Star Wars games, I always prefer to have like a create your own character. Though I say that even though my favorite game is Jedi Fallen Order from the Star Wars games.
Yeah.
In that game, you're playing as a set character throughout the entirety. And so it depends on like if the character is well written and everything like that. And I think they're going to do a good job with this. And this is the second Star Wars game we got revealed this year. Earlier, back in September, we got a KOTOR remake finally happening. So needless to say, Star Wars fans are very excited right now for it in terms of video games. I'm very looking forward to see what else is going to happen.
Heck yeah.
It's really good. If you haven't seen the trailer, I highly recommend you watch it. And if you haven't read the High Republic books, that's perfectly okay because I have yet to read them as well. This is going to probably be my first dive into that era, and it's going to be, I think I'm going to be interested in it. It looks very interesting. I just love the tone. I love the settings and everything like that, and like how we can see it's going to be like probably like the rise of the Trade Federation, something like that. It's going to be very cool from what I see. Very interested in that. As I said, it's only in early development, so they just revealed this. So I don't think we probably won't see the game release until like 2023 at the earliest. For the KOTOR remake, probably like mid 2022 that game will come out. This game, Star Wars Eclipse, I'm not thinking until 2023 because these games do take time. But who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very cool reveal for me. So just a little recap. My big reveals: Star Wars Eclipse, Elden Ring, the story trailer, Destiny 2 Witch Queen, and Alan Wake 2. Those are games that basically my online friend group we were all talking about, and we think like these are the ones that it was worth watching the night for. Aside from that, let me get ready for because now we're gonna actually. How long have we been? It's only for a couple. We've only been going for a couple minutes, right?
We've been going for over 20 minutes.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, I'm going.
You're doing good though. Don't worry. Hey, like listen. If you've seen our mixed bag show, trust me, we go all out. We go like for 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. It's all good.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I was expecting to go on an hour about this, but like, I don't think I can go for a full hour talking about reveals because there was a lot of mini ads and stuff like that some I don't remember. There were a couple neat indie games here and there. One of them was like I think it's called like Tunic or something like that. He plays like this little cute little fox character. Yeah. But yeah, I think we can go into the main awards right now.
Which I have pulled up for all of you who are watching.
Yes. So let me go to get my computer ready. So we're gonna start with most anticipated, and this award category was the nominees for this was Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok or God of War 2, Horizon Forbidden West, or like Horizon or the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Starfield. Now, the one I voted for, and as you can see, the winner is Elden Ring. Elden Ring took this one home. It's the second year in a row it won this because last year they introduced this category, and Elden Ring was like that was the main one here, and they won it again. And needless to say, I think it's well deserved. I'm very looking forward to this game. For those who are not aware, it's developed by From Software. These are the guys who made Dark Souls, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and Bloodborne. I'm playing through Bloodborne myself for the first time. It's a completely blind playthrough. I'm just loving it so far. So I'm very looking forward to see what Elden Ring brings to the table. But I'm not discounting the other games. The other games are very good too. God of War Ragnarok, that I think it had a very strong chance of taking this spot, along with Legend of Zelda sequel. Because I remember when this past summer when they revealed a gameplay snippet for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, my younger brother and I, along with my friend group, we were going crazy about it. We thought it was really good looking. And the same thing with God of War Ragnarok. God of War looks really good. I have yet to play God of War 4, the one that's set in the Norse mythology. But from what I've seen, it's a very good game. Starfield, I'm not too certain if it had a strong chance in this category. It was just revealed. We haven't gotten any gameplay for it yet. And it is mainly just like we got an in-engine cinematic look at what was going on. So I can't say the excitement's there yet. It comes out next year, I believe. I think it's next year. Yeah, that sounds about right. 22. So we'll see how that goes. I think in compared to when you compare to like Elden Ring, God of War, and this Breath of the Wild 2, I think Elden Ring is going to be the deserved winner here. Horizon Forbidden West, that was they actually showed off a gameplay trailer for that for Horizon Forbidden West during the actual show itself. And it looks good. I mean, like I played the main Horizon Zero Dawn and I liked the story. Just the gameplay, I wasn't a big fan of in terms of like how the gameplay was and what you did overall. So that's most anticipated game. If you want to go to the previous category, we can go on to the next one.
Sure. Here we go. 24 to 30. Here we go.
All right. Best debut indie game. So these are games, they're not tied to like any major publisher. They are it's like pretty much like a team of like around 100 people. They work on these games. So this one here was the winner was Kena the Bridge of Spirits. I did not vote for that game. I voted for Sable, which is like complete just exploration game, stuff like that. I'm not sure if Kena deserved that win per se. If anything, I think either Sable or Valheim should have taken this award here. I don't remember what the Artful Escape or the Forgotten City was. I didn't look into those two, unfortunately. But when I saw Kena and the Bridge of Spirits shown off at the I think it was like the Sony conference or Xbox conference earlier this year. Excuse me. I wasn't too interested in the game. Like it's like an art style I've seen before, so I wasn't too interested. And that's why I was like leaning more towards Sable or Valheim. So yeah, but that was best debut indie. And let's go on to the next one now.
All right, here we go.
Oh, content creator of the year. Okay, we can skip content creator of the year. This is going to be that was a interesting one. That the content creator of the year. That was a if I want to talk about it briefly, that was 100% fan voted category. So like how voting works for the Game Awards is that there's a fans can vote for the games when they come out, but there's also like a main jury that takes up the majority of the voting like points, stuff like that. So fans do have a part. It's just not that big of a part when it comes to voting for the winner. So that as a content creator, that was a complete like fan voted category for that one. So now for best multiplayer, okay. So the nominations for this one, if you want to scroll down, it looks like it's cutting off a bit. Was Back 4 Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. So for this one, as you can see, It Takes Two was the winner. For those who aren't aware, we'll be talking about It Takes Two a lot more later. It Takes Two is a 2-player split screen co-op game, or not split screen. You can play it wirelessly or like online play, but you play as one character, and another person plays as a second character. And you have to work together to solve these puzzles together. So naturally, the multiplayer aspect is really big. It's the main core component to what makes the game, how the game works, and everything like that. So I'd say that's pretty deserved. I think, yeah, when I'm looking at this, I think that's what I voted for the winner. But Valheim, and I would say was a very strong contestant for this category. Valheim and Monster Hunter Rise, they were strong contenders for or nominees for this category. But It Takes Two, that's probably a deserved win because that game is all multiplayer. That's how you play and how the story progresses.
Mhm.
New World, that I don't think is I don't think New World should even be nominated, honestly. It's an MMO from the Amazon games. It's a weird situation. Back for Blood, that's sort of like it's you can play it single player, I believe, but also it has multiplayer elements. That one's a zombie game where you're working together with like 3 other guys, and it's basically just like you're fighting off waves of zombies over and over again. Knockout City, I don't really know too much about. So that was yeah. So yeah, I would say It Takes Two. That one won mainly because it's the core aspect of the game was the multiplayer part. So yeah, that was I would say that was a deserved win for the game. Now for the next category, which is going to be best sports in racing. This one went to Forza Horizon 5, which I am currently playing through right now, and I can see like I agree with the winner. But what the one I voted for was Hot Wheels Unleashed, surprisingly, because when Hot Wheels Unleashed got announced, I did not expect Hot Wheels Unleashed to be such a fun game. It was like, oh, another Hot Wheels game, stuff like that. Then I actually played it and like I saw the trailer for it. I'm like, wait, how is this game actually like this good looking? Like, what's going on? And the game is really fun and it has a lot of depth to it. It's honestly a very surprising title. I was not expecting Hot Wheels Unleashed to be that fun. That's why I gave that Hot Wheels Unleashed my vote for best sports and racing. Forza Horizon 5 though, that one makes sense. It is a very good game. It's very enjoyable to play because I'm playing through it right now and having a good time. FIFA 22 in F1, those are EA sports games, so EA is always going to have their yearly release of a sports game, so there's not much to say about those two. Riders Republic, that was from what I heard from reviews, that game was really fun as well, but if you had to play it. So a couple of years back, Ubisoft released a title called Steep. It's like a snow sports game. You can ski down mountains, snowboard down mountains, stuff like that. That was the main point of the game. So Riders Republic is pretty much Steep because it still has those skiing and snowboarding elements, but now you have like jetpacks, wingsuits, and bikes. So it expanded on what Steep provided, and I think it's free to play. I'm pretty sure it's a free to play game. But it's from what I heard from one of my reviewers that I like to watch, he recommended the game, so I think that one probably has a spot up there. But for best sports and racing, I think Hot Wheels Unleashed should have taken the win, but I'm perfectly fine with Forza Horizon 5 taking it. Both those, Forza Horizon 5 and Hot Wheels Unleashed, they are very two strong contenders, and yeah, so those were some good nominees for that category. So let's move on to the next. Okay, best sim in strategy. For this one, we got Age of Empires 4, Evil Genius 2, World Domination, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. So when Microsoft Flight Simulator that came out last year. I'm not sure why that got renominated, but I think it's because they still have some updates it's a live game essentially. So when Flight Sim came out last year, that was my vote. But this year, I gave my vote to Age of Empires 4, which in this case was the winner. I've always been a fan of the Age of Empires franchise. I played a lot of Age of Empires 2 back in the day on my computer. That Age of Empires 2 is a real-time strategy game, sort of like how I mentioned that Dune game is going to be. So this was like I'm not sure if it's the founder of the real-time strategy, but it's very much one of the staples of the real-time strategy genre. for Age of Empires. Humankind, that's a that one's a bit like Sid Meier's Civilization. So that one's a turn-based, really in-depth strategy game that you start at like a very early point in time, and then the technology advances with you, and you get like modern technology and like modern weapons and everything like that. I don't remember what Evil Genius 2 was, but Inscription I do know vaguely. That's it. Inscription is like I think it was a roguelike game where you have like a deck of cards and you progress throughout the game. It was like playing like these card games. It was very interesting when I saw the initial trailer. But for this category, I definitely think that Age of Empires 4 was the deserved winner. I've always been a fan of that franchise. So yeah, I think this is a well-deserved win for that game. All right, ready to move on?
Here we go. The best family?
Best family game. Yeah, so these are games that are sort of like couch co-op, and everything like that. So this one, the nominees were It Takes Two again, Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World, the re-release with the DLC that Nintendo did for the Nintendo Switch, and the new WarioWare game. Now, when this category came out, I gave my vote to Mario Party Superstars, mainly because Mario Party has always been the game where you play with friends and family, you just end up yelling at each other. It's always a good time, no matter what you do. Even if you're yelling at your friends and family the entire time, it's always fun. I'm not sure if I agree with It Takes Two taking the winner here for best family game, because It Takes Two you can only play with 2 players, and everything else I'm not sure about. Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Snap, I'm not sure about that one. But every other game except for Super Mario 3D World, so Mario Party Superstars and WarioWare, that one could play up to 4 players, which is like the perfect like multiplayer, like couch co-op multiplayer for family co-op. So having a 2-player game win best family, I don't really agree with. That's why I went with Mario Party Superstars for that genre. For that category, I feel like that one was a more deserved winner for this category. Super Mario 3D World, I don't think could have won as well, because that's a 4-player game, but the DLC that came out for the Super Mario 3D World, that was, I think, mainly 2-player. To me, the main 2 contenders for this category was the Mario Party Superstars and WarioWare. Those are all less like fast-paced mini games and like board game style of gameplay, where you play with 4 people, and you just go from turn to turn and have fun and yell at your friends and family. But yeah, so yeah, It Takes Two on that category. I'm not sure if I agree with that. And I think Mario Party Superstars should have been the winner there. All right. Yeah,
I tend to agree.
Yeah, no, it's always fun to yell at your friends and family.
Of course.
All right.
Best fighting?
Best fighting games. So this is like sort of like Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. Like that, those titles. Yeah. So we haven't gotten a Mortal Kombat game in a while, so that's why it's not nominated here.
I see. Okay.
So that's why it's mainly just a bunch of anime games. So there's like a Demon Slayer game, Guilty Gear Strive. Melty Blood, I'm not sure of that one. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and Virtua Fighter 5. The winner here was Guilty Gear, and I've never been I never played any of the Guilty Gear games, but I know a lot of people enjoy those, and I saw some gameplay for Guilty Gear Strive. So I do think that this is a deserved win here. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, I felt was mainly meant as a meme, like a meme game. You can't really take that game seriously to me. I don't think that game could have won. That's why I gave my vote to the Guilty Gear franchise for this category, and I think it was a deserved win. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this category. Okay. ready to move on?
Absolutely. Ready when you are.
Yep.
Best role playing.
Okay, yes. Best RPG. So this one, nominees were Cyberpunk, Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. Now, for my vote, I went with Monster Hunter Rise for this one. I've saw my younger brother play it. I've played it vaguely a little bit as well. But my younger brother, he's really into this game, and I think this one was the deserved winner for this category. The winner for this category was Tales of Arise. This is a franchise I'd never really heard of, to be honest, but I understand it's a very big franchise, and the fan base to it has been waiting for this game for a while, to say the least. So I think they deserve to have a win. It's always good when your favorite franchise does get like a win at some point, or or at least some recognition. So I'm happy for like the Tales of series to finally getting that recognition for best role playing game. I've never played them personally. My online friend, he voted for the Shin Megami Tensei 5. He's a big fan of that franchise. And as I said, I was going with Monster Hunter Rise. Cyberpunk 2077, that one I'm not too sure of. That one had a very bad and rough launch, for those who are unaware. The game released in a very bad state. It was like almost unfinished on older consoles, and on current gen and PC, it was very buggy, to say the least. So yeah, I'm not too sure if that one would have had a chance of winning. My main choice was always Monster Hunter, but yeah, I'm okay with Tales of Arise taking that one. So yeah, that's it for that category.
All right, here we go. Next category. Best action adventure.
Best action. Okay, so this one, we got Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy game. This came out a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. The winner for this category was Metroid Dread, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. That was my vote as well. I was hands down Metroid Dread for this category. When I played this game, I 100%. I got all the collectibles in this game. It is so damn good. Definitely, if you have like a Nintendo Switch, I would highly recommend you play Metroid Dread. For close second in this category, I think probably Psychonauts 2 or the Ratchet and Clank game would have taken it. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a very strong contender. I'm not dismissing that game at all. We'll be talking about that one actually in a couple minutes because it did win some awards. Resident Evil Village, that was we'll be talking about that one in a bit as well because that did win some awards. But for best action adventure, Metroid Dread was definitely my number one pick for this category, and it wholeheartedly deserves that win. So good on Mercury Steam for developing that. It's the story behind this game, like how long it took for them to make it, is incredible. Because I think back in 2004, when the last new 2D Metroid game came out, Metroid Fusion, this game was started, development kicked off for this game. And it was eventually canceled, so because of due to hardware limitations. And then in 2008, it was rumored to come back because there's a little secret you could find in Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii. So like, oh, Project Dread is nearing completion. So everyone's like, oh, it's going to come back. And then it never came back until then this summer, they revealed Metroid 5, Metroid Dread, is coming out this October. For the first brand new Metroid game that's 2D in 20 years, and everyone was so excited, and it lived up to my every single expectation of what a Metroid game should be. It was an amazing experience. So yeah, that's best action adventure. Metroid Dread definitely deserved that win.
Awesome. Here we go. Next category is best action game.
All right. So best action game. This was Back 4 Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. Now, Returnal was the main winner for this category. I am not too certain if I agree with that. I haven't had the chance to play most of these games, unfortunately, due to the fact that they run best on the PS5 or the next gen consoles, and I do not have a PS5. I'm not one of the 5 people that has the PS5. They are so hard to get. So Returnal is something called a roguelike game. I believe it is, a roguelike, in which you start the game, you get as far into it as you can, and when your character eventually dies, like you take enough damage or like you lose, you start all the way back from the beginning with your knowledge. So like your memorization is your main weapon, like how you progress and everything like that. And like what works best with one weapon, what works best with the second weapon. Key games that come to mind for this genre, something like Risk of Rain 2. It's a very unique genre to me. I enjoy it quite a bit, but I'm not sure if this was the best pick for the category. The one I voted for best action, I gave my pick to Deathloop. I felt like that was a more suitable choice for best action game. Far Cry 6, I'm not too certain because Far Cry 6, I'm not sure if it had a strong chance to begin with. It's very much a Far Cry game, to say the least. So it's like, oh yeah, that's another Far Cry. Chivalry 2, I have yet to experience that game. It looks kind of fun. It's like a medieval style PvP game where you just fight other people and like this limbs flying out because you're cutting them off with swords and everything. It's very gory, and it had like a very funny trailer in the Game Awards. Back 4 Blood might have been a strong contender or a contender for this category. Like I said, it's a co-op survival game where you fight off hordes of zombies. So there's a lot of stuff going on in that game. But my ultimate choice was Deathloop, which is another sort of like a roguelike, but like this Deathloop, it has a stronger narrative, I feel, tied to it than Returnal. I have yet to really experience what either of these games bring to the table, but when I saw Deathloop, I was definitely way more interested in that title. So my choice for this category was going to that one. So that's all I have to say about this category.
Best action game. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Best VR or AR.
All right. So best VR and AR. This is kind of a niche genre because you have to have like a good PC or good console to run it on. You see, there was Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, Resident Evil 4, and Sniper Elite VR. Now, I believe for my choice, I went with Resident Evil 4, which is the winner for this category. And I think that might have been I think that deserves that win, because when it comes to VR games, most of them feel like tech demos essentially. Some of them can be like, oh, it's only like 20 minutes long, something like that, or like an hour-long experience that you play. It's not like a full game. We're finally getting into that genre, or like that. We're finally getting like full feature games that you can play in VR. We started getting that last year was like Half-Life Alyx, the Star Wars Squadrons. And then we're getting that more as like VR updates for games like Hitman 3 and then like Resident Evil 4. Lone Echo 2, I remember hearing very good things about Lone Echo 2 because I remember a lot of people like the first Lone Echo. It's like a sci-fi VR game that you play. But for Resident Evil 4, that's like a survival horror, and I think VR games do best when they have a horror element tied to them, because then it's like, oh, it's right in your face, everything's right there, you have to be quick and anything like that. So I think that was definitely like a suited winner for this category.
All right. I tend to agree with you on that. Next category,
Yes,
is innovation accessibility.
yeah. So innovation and accessibility, this is a category that recently came out a couple of years ago, in which games offer features like settings in their titles that allow people who are disabled to enjoy them. So for example, colorblind settings in games where you can change certain color settings to be different. One game that came, I think it was last year. It was called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's made by this developer called Obsidian, in which there was an accessibility setting for people with arachnophobia. So, one of the main enemies in this little game where you play as like a regular guy that's been shrunk down to like this tiny little character person in the real world. So spiders are like these giant things, and they're very scary in that game. And to some people, it's like who have arachnophobia, they can't go near it. So what they have a feature in the game, for example, that turns them into like just little like circles, so they don't look intimidating at all.
Right.
So for this category for this year, our nominees were Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank, and The Veil: Shadow of the Crown. The winner for this category was Forza Horizon 5, which has its own like sign language interpreter built into the game. It's like a real interpreter appears on the screen doing sign language. It's kind of neat how we're getting into these like really cool parts, because recently like Xbox, like Microsoft Xbox, they have a controller for people who don't have like full hand movements they can use to play video games. So it's very neat how we're getting into this category. I feel like this is a very unique category to talk about, because everyone should be able to play video games. And some video games have this, they're like, oh, some people are not like, they're not the best at video games, or like they get scared by enemies. It's like, or they can't distinguish friend or from foe. Someone's like, oh yeah, we'll highlight enemies a certain color like red, and we'll highlight your character, which is good, blue, so you can easily distinguish the two. So it's very neat how they're doing these settings and everything like that. So it's always interesting to see which company or which developer does what they can to make games more accessible. And I think Forza Horizon was a good choice for this winner.
All righty. Next category.
Yep.
Best community support.
Okay, so this category is for developers who engage with the community, and the community likes to talk with. So like whenever there's like an update that comes out, or like if there's a problem in the game, to develop like the player base can count on the community or the developers to fix the issue. So the nominees for this category was Apex Legends by Respawn, Destiny 2 by Bungie, Final Fantasy XIV Online by Square Enix, Fortnite by Epic Games, and No Man's Sky by Hello Games. Now, my choice for winner in this for this category was Destiny 2 by Bungie, but I am perfectly okay with Final Fantasy XIV taking the winner for this one. Both of those games developers are very talented at what they do. They definitely have that community support. But Final Fantasy XIV's developers and community is completely like on a different level, I would say. The developers for that game are incredibly nice, I would say. Well, the whole entire community for Final Fantasy XIV Online is very nice. I've been playing it for the first time this year. I started getting into it, and it's honestly one of the nicest like communities I've ever seen for a video game. There's no toxicity whatsoever. It's a very like good change of pace when coming from from other games.
Red Dead.
What?
Red Dead.
Oh, yeah, Red Dead. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky. That's a very strong contender for this category. They did a complete U-turn on that game. It's like one of the best game. Well, both Final Fantasy XIV and No Man's Sky, I consider two of the three greatest comebacks in video game history. Final Fantasy XIV, when it originally released back in like 2011, was in a terrible state. The original developer and director they didn't listen to the community. It was like the community was struggling. So then when the new director came into play and took over the control of the title, it was a complete reset of the game. The developer started listening to the community, and it was a complete refresh. And the same thing happened with like No Man's Sky, except No Man's Sky launched in like a bad state, and then year after year, the developers make it really good and they make it better. The reason why though I went with Destiny 2 for my pick for this category was that the Bungie devs are very, I feel they're very forward in what they talk about and what's going to happen in terms of the game. Like every Thursday they come out with like a blog post talking about, hey, this week at Bungie we're talking about this or this or this, like what to expect next coming week. Here are some patch notes, stuff like that. But I'm very glad that Final Fantasy 14 was able to take this win. That's definitely a well-deserved win for this category.
Good. All right, next category.
Yep.
Best mobile game.
Right, this one I'm not too sorry because I'm not big of a mobile gamer, so we can actually kind of skip this one. Let me go over real quick though. So the nominees for this one was Fantasian by Mistwalker. Actually, I don't know most of the developers. Genshin Impact, League of Legends Wild Rift, Marvel Future Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. And the winner for this category was Genshin Impact for Best Mobile Game. So that's really all I have to say about that. I'm not too big of a mobile gamer. I don't use my phone as a gaming platform.
Yeah. All right, next one is Best Indie Game.
Okay, so is this similar to that Best Indie debut category we talked about earlier? Now it has the same winner as well. Kena the Bridge of Spirits won this category as well. So I think, my vote for this one was Inscription as well. Loop Hero is another good category I feel for this pick. But overall, this was a pretty solid category. We got 12 minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, Kena the Bridge of Spirits, and then Loop Hero. Yes, as I said, though, my main pick for this category was Inscription. I'm not sure if Kena never really stood out to me as an interesting game. I felt like the art style is something I've seen before many times. So that's why it didn't really stand out to me that much. Inscription has a unique art style that had me interested. So but then in the end, Kena was the one that took the title for this category. That's really all I have to say about this one.
All right.
Yeah, we can move on.
Let's go to the next one. Best ongoing?
Yes, best ongoing games. This is a game that's constantly still getting updates.
Okay.
So the nominees for this one was Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14 Online, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and Call of Duty Warzone.
Fortnite.
Yeah, no. Fortnite. I'm not going to talk about that one. I don't like Fortnite.
Neither do I. I don't even play it.
The winner for this category was Final Fantasy 14 Online, which is what I voted for. So I'm very happy that Square Enix won this category. This was, compared to the other nominations, this was a very easy pick for me. I haven't played Apex Legends in a while, and I haven't played Call of Duty Warzone at all. If you look at these nominations, 3 of the 5 are all the same genre of video games, which are battle royales, and Final Fantasy and Genshin Impact are the standout unique ones. I don't like Genshin Impact, so Final Fantasy 14 is definitely the clear winner for me. They just actually had an expansion come out this past week, brand new expansion, Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker, and that released this week or earlier this week on PC and like all other consoles. So I'm very excited that it's still an ongoing game. I think, and they still have more plans. So I'm definitely looking forward in the future to see what they bring. Definitely a well-deserved winner for this category.
Awesome. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Games for Impact.
Oh yes, this is sort of like a I'm not sure how to best describe it. Yeah, so like a thought-provoking pro-social message, as the description provides. This one was nominees for this one was Before Your Eye, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange, True Colors, and No Longer Home. And the winner for this category was Life is Strange, True Colors. I've never played any of the Life is Strange games. Um, they are sort of similar to the Telltale games I talked about earlier, JT, which
Okay.
they're mainly focused on telling the story rather than like the major gameplay elements. Um,
Yeah.
so it's sort of like playing a movie, but like you have to control something every once in a while. So yeah, I think this is probably a fair win for this cat for Life is Strange. So that's
All
all
right.
we all have to say about this one.
Let's go to the next one. Best performance. I'm assuming
Yeah,
this is
okay, so
voices.
yeah, voice acting and motion and performance capture.
Okay.
So we have Erica Mori as Alex Chen from Life is Strange: True Colors. Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Costello from Far Cry 6. Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn from Deathloop. Maggie Robertson as Lady, I can't pronounce her last name, from Resident Evil Village. And I don't know how to pronounce her name, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. As another Deathloop performance, like the main villain for that game. I don't want to butcher her name, so I don't want to be fear of pronouncing it or mispronouncing it.
Mhm.
My choice for this one was Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Costello because I'm a big fan of Giancarlo Esposito. Ever since he was like in The Mandalorian and stuff like that, and like he's always he's always a very charismatic. Like whenever he's on stage, he's very charismatic, and it's always like a fun person to listen to him talk. So here's my main pick for this category, but Maggie Robinson is Lady Dimitrescu, I believe that's how you pronounce the character's name from Resident Evil Village. She won this. She won this category, and I think rightfully so. When her character got revealed, the internet just went completely crazy over her. It was kind of amusing and scary at the same time of how quickly everyone just went crazy about this character. So yeah, but that was that was a funny win to say the least. And I think I do agree it's really well deserved.
All right. Next one. Best audio design.
Yeah, okay, so the nominees for this one was Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal. And the winner for this category was Forza Horizon 5, which was my vote as well. And I'm very happy with how this one came out. Because back when Forza Horizon 4 came out, one of the main critiques of that game was the fact that the engine design and like the sound of the cars was terrible. And when Forza Horizon 5 got announced, this was one of the key aspects they improved on. Like they focused on improving for the next title. And I think they definitely nailed the audio design of this game. And it's a well-deserved winner for this category.
All right. Next one. Best score and music.
Yeah, okay. So this one was Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near Replicant. And the winner for this category was Near Replicant. Let's see. The one I voted for, let me check real quick. Yeah, so my vote for this category was Cyberpunk 2077. Because I actually have a couple of the songs on like my video game playlist or video game soundtrack playlist. So
Yeah.
that was my main pick for this category. Artful Escape, I believe that's like a rhythm game where you have to play to like the beat of a music, something like that. So I could definitely see that. That's with the music being the core aspect, definitely be nominated. Deathloop, I'm not too familiar with the soundtrack for. And same thing with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. One of my online friends mentioned that it has a good soundtrack. The only thing is, it's like how much of that soundtrack is already licensed to music. I know Peter Quill, like one of the main parts, he has that Walkman and he plays like a bunch of classic 80s rock songs. So it's like how much of that made up the original score. That's why I felt Cyberpunk took my vote. It has all the music for all these other games was like originally made and stuff like that. But Near Replicant, though, I definitely think this is a deserved win for, because it was a I've yet to play Near Replicant, but I saw my brother, he played through the previous Near game, Near Automata, and it has a very interesting soundtrack, to say the least. And I was very interested in how this one came out. Also, a fun fact about Near Replicant: the person who did the soundtrack for Near Replicant also did the soundtrack for that one of the Star Wars anime episodes. That's cool, a little cool connection.
Cool. Next one.
Yep.
Here we go. Coming down to the final four. Best art direction.
Okay, yes, this is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Nominees for this one was The Artful Escape, Deathloop, Kena, The Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So the winner for this category was Deathloop, which was my vote as well. Because I was actually no, maybe I think it was actually Ratchet and Clank on this one, because Deathloop was an interesting title, to say the least. I was something that I was interested in playing, but in terms of art direction, Ratchet and Clank had a very solid foundation. Same thing with Psychonauts 2, but I've yet to play that. Kena, The Bridge of Spirits. I'm like I said before, I've seen that art style before, so I wasn't too impressed. Deathloop, though, had something very. It was like a retro. It had like a retro futuristic art style. And like it was very interesting, to say the least. That's one of the reasons why I was like looking forward and interested by that game. But I'm perfectly okay with it winning. But stuff like Ratchet and Clank also had a very strong chance of winning as well. But yeah, Deathloop winning, perfectly okay with that.
Cool. All right, next one, down to the final three. Here we go. Best narrative.
All right, so we got Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. And the winner for this one was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is very interesting that I was not expecting to win. I'm actually very surprised and happy that I won this category. It Takes Two, we'll be talking about that one in the future a little bit. Deathloop, Deathloop is like a roguelike, so like you don't get the full story right then and there. You have to do multiple playthroughs to experience it. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, though, was a complete single player, like story-driven game. And compared to like Marvel's Avengers, which came out earlier last year, this is a completely different game. And I think it actually really did a good job in deserving this win. Like the clips of it I've seen online from like the cutscenes and everything, it's a very good game from what I've seen, a very good story. So I definitely do believe that this is a worthy contender for winning this best narrative.
All right. Next one.
Yep.
Final two. Best game direction.
Oh yes, this is so like the guy basically is like the main person in charge of the game, who came up with the idea in the first place, and stuff like that. So for this one was Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank. And the winner for this one was Deathloop. Let me check with what I gave for this one. I think for this one, I gave it to It Takes Two, mainly because the director for It Takes Two was he's a very funny guy, very entertaining to watch whenever he has a mic and everything like that. He always says something funny. Deathloop I'm not sure if this one deserved its win per se, but like it definitely had a very unique approach of how they wanted to do stuff.
Okay.
Returnal, I'm not too certain if this was a strong contender. It's sort of like a genre of game that we've seen before. If anything, I feel like Psychonauts 2 or Ratchet and Clank should have taken home this win. That or It Takes Two. Any of those three really. Deathloop is a very solid contender, but I feel like Psychonauts 2 or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, they had that more of that unique edge. When then like It Takes Two is like a guy saying, "Hey, why don't we make a game that you have to play in multiplayer?" And it's like you have to work together with someone that you know, and that's as it tells the story. So
Right.
I think that was I feel like there was more deserving winners for this category. I mean, I'm okay with Deathloop winning, but I feel like for the main pick, it should have been something else.
All right. And last but not least, the number one. Here we go.
Yes, the game of the year.
And game of the year is
It Takes Two, which was very surprising to me. So let me go over the nominations again real quick. The nominations for game of the year was Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And the winner for this category for game of the year was It Takes Two. I'm not too certain if I just talked all that praise about it in the last category. I'm not too certain if this was it certainly wasn't my pick for a game of the year. My game of the year pick was Metroid Dread. As I said, I absolutely loved that game. It was exactly everything I wanted from a Metroid title. So that's why I'm a little salty about the fact that it didn't win. Deathloop would have been a good pick as well. It Takes Two it's a good pick, but like it's something that I have yet to experience, and it's something you have to play with someone else to really get the full experience of. Metroid Dread, it's a single player Metroid game. It really lives up to that aspect of what a Metroid game needs to be. That's why I thought it should have been that's why I thought it was my number one pick. But It Takes Two, one game of the year. The director for that game was very happy with how that came out. He, as I said, that director for It Takes Two in that studio is a very funny guy. He always says something funny. It's just like he's a very entertaining person to watch. But yeah, that one game of the year, I'm a little salty about it because I was really hoping for Metroid Dread to win, but I'm okay with It Takes Two winning. And those are the awards. There were some that we didn't cover, like the some of the esport events. I don't think there's a major esport audience here on this channel, to say the least. But like those are like big competitions for like video games that somewhat it's still in like a niche category, stuff like that. But yeah, that's all of the awards for the 2021 Game Awards. Is there any comments or anything that anyone wants to add?
none that I can see or be aware of. So I think we're all set.
Okay, great.
So I want to first things first. I want to thank Mr. Andrew Schultes for coming on tonight and just explaining what's going on and how this works. I right up front, I don't play video games, and this guy plays games, and he knows much more than I do, as you can clearly tell. So that's why I have him on from time. That's why I have him on from time to time, and I want to thank him for joining me as always. And you've been a very good friend of mine, and thank you for coming on and explaining what happened at this year's Game Awards. So
yeah, no problem. I love doing these gaming events.
Yeah, of course. And like, if there's any other gaming awards or events like E3 or whatever, we can cover that too coming up. You and me. So whatever.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'll keep you posted on them.
Definitely. We'd love to have you. Love to have you on for that too. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening. However you listen to us or stream to us tonight. We hope you had an amazing night, and we will see you guys next time. So, see you later.